Hey dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We'll be checking out Mythical Awakened Platin right here. I will go through his equipment first because many of you have requested that, equipment be talked about first before going to the matches. So for his weapons, I've given him crit and lethal. For his armor, double block. For his accessory, I've given him the Awakened Skill Reset accessory with the Guardian Ring as well as the hide. Okay, so this is not the best combination of accessory subsets. The only reason why I have the Guardian Ring here is because this was supposed to be for 5. Okay, but if you have the Willful Ring with Awakened Skill Reset, go ahead and use that. Willful Ring is actually much better for him since he is a bulky unit. Okay, and you can also use damage reduction accessories. You can also use the Purification with hide and Willful Ring. I think that will be a much better combination. But yeah, I really want to test out him with Awakened Skill Reset, because as we know, his Awakened Skill is able to reduce 2 targets HP to 1, which I think it's really good, and he also blocks recovery, and later on we'll talk about that when we see in action. For his jewels, he does increase Awakening Gauge for himself, and also is able to use skill use and also block rate increase and damage reduction from block. For his fighter soul, I've given him defense increase, and I also buffed his 5-man attack. I think that's pretty good because he does have 2 5-man AoE. Okay, and I also given him reduced damage taken from various enemies as well as increased block rate. And for his limit break, I've given him 3 resistances, so this is completely up to you. How you give your heroes resistances should depend on what your other heroes have, okay? So you have to vary the resistances in your team so that your whole team, you won't be completely shut down basically. And for my case, I've given him stun, silence and sleep. So let's head into the battle right now. For the first team, we are actually using the Abel team with Rangrid and Rudy. The reason why I want to try this team is because Abel is pretty new, and I think I wanted to just go for a universal team, which is something I've been dreaming of for so long. So this was definitely something I could not pass. Okay, the idea behind this team, after testing it for a few rounds, I realized it actually goes pretty well, because when Platin actually reduces HP of the enemies to 1, and you have Abel countering 3 enemies, it's potentially pretty easy for kills. The 1 HP just happened, by the way. Yeah, and buff block unfortunately gets cast here, but I'm really hoping that a basic attack will be able to kill off the enemies. Unfortunately, I think they healed back the enemies with Rudy's healing skill, so yeah, that is very unfortunate for my case. Well, he did die though. Okay, he did it again. So that's the point of the Reset Awakened Skill, right? So he will do it again very quickly because he charges Awakened Skill insanely fast, and then he will also prevent their healing, which means Eve's lifesteal is not going to work, and Rudy just died right there, so you saw. And it actually goes really well with Abel's Awakened Skill, as you can see here, because at 1 HP, when you kill an enemy and you trigger his chain attack, is potentially devastating, which really gave me more ideas to try this out later on. You realize that this goes very well with Eve as well, and even Milia, okay, in terms of chain attacks. So 1 HP and chain attack is almost like a cheat code. You kill the enemy super fast, and in this case, this was what happened in this match. So I was pretty pleased with Abel's performance. I think he really stole. Him pairing with Platin, they did really well. Over here we have a tanky magic team with Rangrid and Rangrid. Okay. And you know, the main idea behind my team is really just trying to get Platin to reduce HP to 1 because my damage output is almost extremely sad. Yeah, it's really sad. There's no buffs. Platin doesn't do any damage at all, honestly, because he has no ignore defense. My Abel as well. My Abel is really relying on counters, and if the enemy has hide accessory, then no counters for me. So no damage from me. His Yonhee has death, which is gross. Because this is random, so as you can see, he kind of prioritized the front line, I believe. I'm not too sure about that, but there we go. So when you hit them when they are converted to 1 HP, they will still survive at 1 HP. Okay, they will still survive at 1 HP, probably because of jewels. So you have to hit them again in order to kill them. Yeah, but Yonhee and Red Grid died pretty fast. I'm not sure if the Red Grid got converted or the Red Grid converted, but either way, okay, clearing the field is extremely fast with Platin's 1 HP conversion along with Abel's 3 target basic attack. And on top of that, you have Rudy and Red Grid giving the entire team sufficient bulk. So Rudy is here to give 50% block rate and defense increase, where Red Grid gives 3000 defense increase. And what else? Wukong is actually here for DPS and buff block. So he has the potential to, you know, actually do pretty good damage. Oh yeah, Platin is also a cleanser, so buff block will not be too difficult to deal with. And so we won this battle with all 5 still standing. Next team is also against a magic team, but this is kind of a more meta team with Judas, NT and Eve. You realize that I didn't meet an offensive team, but to be honest, I have met offensive teams. Didn't go down well at all. Okay, they are just way too overpowering. Agnes Flame will destroy teams, and you cannot convert their HP to 1 due to Fenrir's existence. So against offensive teams, it's extremely tricky. But we do have a match later with an offensive team. Not this team, but a different kind of setup that I will do. So that's something you can look forward to. Unfortunately, my Wukong dies extremely quickly. Conversion happens here, cuts the enemy's HP by a really huge amount. Again, I'm really relying on counters, and here you go, Rangrid died because of the counter. My Abel actually has the initiate stamp set, which is why his skill use chance is pretty high, like at 15% increased. So he's really going all out here for me. You see that he's almost soloing the entire battle right here. And if he changes attacks here, I'm just, you know, more speed attacks. So the Andy has just revived, which is not the best thing, you know, to deal with, to be honest, because she could be extremely tanky. I'm glad she died though. I mean, this player probably could be using a Berserker Ring or something. Yeah, again, we are all left with Judas. Judas is actually a really strong hero still at the moment, and you know, even with anti-sphere fear immunity, I don't think that should stop anyone from using Judas, because the thing about Judas being used is for his damage increase passive as well as for his recovery rate nerf. The recovery rate nerf is huge, okay, in this present meta. As you can see, my Rudy does not heal much at all. So my Platin was doing nothing for the second half of the match. This is another team comp with Platin. It is with Anti and Judas. I think this is more meta, I would say, because you have Judas. Judas is really here to nerf all sorts of recovery, which is going to help a lot. And he was also going to increase my damage output, which is also beneficial. So still a very important hero, like I said. We are up against another meta team as well. Rangrate, Anti, Scoot, Yonhee, and Judas. I think this is a pretty standard team you will face a lot in Grands. So my Platin gets the conversion very quickly by turn 3. Converts, I forgot who I couldn't catch. The Eve and the Rangrate, I believe. Yeah. So they will survive on 1 HP and you have to proceed to kill them off. The Eve died, which is great. It actually makes very light work of Rudy. If your conversion does land on Rudy, you only need 2 more hits to get rid of Rudy, and that could really be a lifesaver. Like, it could have the potential to change the entire course of the battle. And of course, Anti here, in this team is actually extremely crazy. Because she does have 2 times skill nullification. I mean, Anti's set is just extremely broken, to be honest. Paralyzed, blind, skill nullification, debuff cleanse, everything is just packed on her. And I think right now she's also a very important hero that you can try to get via the synthesis that I just talked about today. Yeah, and as you can see, the utility she has is extremely good. Like, even though she doesn't do much, but when she does, it's definitely gonna benefit you very, very well. Unfortunately, my Platin has died. This is, of course, as I said, probably due to the Guardian Ring. If you give him a Willful Ring, I don't think he is that fragile. So here we are facing an offensive team. Okay, this is gonna be the real deal. Though this offensive team does not use Fenrir, so I would say that as long as you face a team without Fenrir, your chance of winning is probably gonna be high. If you are using Platin, of course. If you are not using Platin, then anything is possible. But if you're using Platin and you don't need a Fenrir, the chance of you winning is pretty high. Because with that Awakened skill, it's crazy. Reducing 2 enemies HP to 1 is kind of like a death, but delayed death. So it's not an immediate kill, you see. But yeah, Agnes Flame is still a very big threat that could potentially shut down teams, but thankfully I do have 2 cleansers on my field, Anti and Platin, so that's also a very good thing to have right now. Cleansing is key, because sometimes even with debuff purification accessories, you may not removing your debuffs fast enough. He converted 2 HP to 1 and almost all of the enemy's HP is gone. Yeah, right now we just really have to land more hits. Oh yeah, one more thing though. So since they are converted to 1 HP, if they do counter, they will be proc with poison damage and they will die immediately. If they do hit my Rudy, they will also die to reflect if they don't have reflect immunity. So it also works that way really well, right? So Platin with Rudy also goes very well together. And if you have Abel, I think everything will synergize pretty well. And then here we have a different kind of build though. Judas is really here to help us as well in terms of damage output, so I really appreciate that. And basically you saw that earlier on my Wukong also did a lot of damage. So this is the 3rd team and I decided that okay, why not just go with a blind concept. Literally a blind team. Milia with blind resist drop on the enemies. We have Anti that does blind, we have Platin that does blind, we have Milia that does blind on her effect attack. So this is a completely blind focus team. Something you can try, and it's good to see Milia being used again or being tested, Yeah, as you can see, the enemies are just going to be completely blinded, which means the damage you take will also be severely reduced due to the misses that is gonna happen. You have to make sure that Milia's counter is pretty high and she has to be targeted. My Milia is actually using my Abel set, the gear from my Abel, so that is why I think it's extremely efficient in terms of countering and landing in that attack. Conversion happens here. As you can see, Rudy is being brought down to 1 HP, which means my life is gonna get a lot easier. I just have to touch him. Apparently nothing happened. Okay, Rudy died here, so it's really good. The thing is, I may have been hit with reflect, not the best thing, but yeah. With Rudy out of the way, the damage you do will be a little better. You do realize that I also took out Judas for Milia. I'm not sure if that's the best decision because Judas, as I said, is probably a lot better than using a Milia, but yeah, I'm just trying to experiment with things here. And even though for this whole video you have seen like the good side of the battles, there's also a fair share of non-wins or losses, and the ratio of the win rate is actually not high. Okay, not high at all. It's about, I would say, 60%. So Platin overall, to me, he doesn't feel like a meta changing unit, but that's fine because we don't always need meta changing units. It's just that it's Platin and we all hope that he gets a very good set, but I wouldn't say it's extremely fantastic, but still pretty useful. Okay, fixed damage decrease from his passive as well. He also reduces lethal rate, so that's a huge chunk of potential damage reduced already. Some people have used him with Gerard as well to reduce crit rate from the enemies, and that itself can be a new form of tank team whereby you reduce crit and lethal rate, and then you have increased bulk from Rudy and Rangrid. And maybe all you need is another DPS like Anti, or even you can go with Clemith for even more healing. Okay, all these are possible options. Again, here we are facing a meta team. To be honest, really, when I face offensive teams, it doesn't go down too well. So I either die too fast or there's nothing much to say. So this is just a disclaimer that I feel that you need to know. Okay, don't go in thinking that Platin is extremely OP and can defeat all your any team, because that's not the case. Because if you meet a Fenrir, you're pretty much cut. Milia here is also kind of like an Abel because she hits 2 targets. Okay, but she has blind, so that's pretty good. And then hopefully this goes hand in hand with Platin's conversion to 1 HP. Milia does have a chain attack as well, so if she triggers that when they are at 1 HP and she kills someone, then you can expect a lot of deaths within that same turn. And that is a potential idea for this team as well. This is the second conversion. I landed on Yon here, I believe. And Eve, so no recovery there. Judas and Yonti, I think. So no recovery. Honestly, the no recovery is a really good effect, the recovery block, because as you know, your enemies, even if you convert them to 1 HP, they can heal back from HP armor or willful ring, right? And that just completely shuts those things down, and it's actually incredible. Because you don't have to worry about your enemy suddenly having less than 1 HP and you cannot kill them on the next shot. So I think that was very well thought out to have conversion to 1 HP and recovery block together on the same skill.
안 되는데.
날 거스르는 자들이여 분노를 내려주라. 통곡하라.
This battle was really intense because even though it's 5v2, Anti is really not fun to play with. With her evasion like that, you know, and her bulk. Really not fun. Thankfully, Milia is coming through with the blinds. And I have my Rudy skill notification, so I'm really just delaying time, and as you can see, the healing is just not fantastic if Judas is around. So Judas, I really don't know which team, you know, is the best, but I preferred the second team in this video. It was a little bit more stable. I think it was also because Judas could really help bring down the recovery of the enemies a lot, and that's very important.
길을 알려줘. 나아갈 곳으로 차원을 넘어 다른 세계로 고통을. 길을 알려줘. 나아갈 곳으로 차원을 넘어 다른 세계로.
Anti is unfortunately like a tank herself. I guess Milia finishes the kill, which is great. And just when you thought she died, she still revives. So I was really expecting this battle to go on for I don't know how long. I wish that my Platin still had his 1 HP conversion, but guess not. It's insane, honestly. Thankfully, my Anti was able to deal a lot of damage to her, so I wouldn't be stuck in some crazy situation. Yep. So thankfully that happened. So let me know what you guys think of Platin after watching these videos, and which was your favorite team in this video as well, and what team would you like to try Platin with. Okay? So big shout out to my channel members ZMD Phoenix and Reggie Bautista for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!